everybody, and welcome back to another episode of From BA to Broadway. You know who it is. It's me. It's Brennan. And it is, of course, Wednesday. So we are here to bring you in the spotlight. But before that, just your general programming reminders. Every Monday, we are here with the main series. Every Wednesday, we are here with the mini-sodes. And without further ado, I am, of course, not here alone. That would be far too scary. I don't like being alone. So I am joined by my dearest friend, my cohabitator, Mr. Daniel Solly. Danny, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, so good. How about yourself?
I'm so good.
Yeah, you really are.
And you know why I'm good?
Why are you so good?
Because you're good. And you know why you're good?
Why am I good?
Because we're doing a show today that's near and dear to your heart.
Ugh, folks.
Disney Adults Unite. Which
what?
I'm not a part of the community,
This
but I
isn't
respect them.
Disney.
Come on, it counts.
It's not, you psycho. How dare you? Okay, listen, folks. The time has finally come. After weeks and weeks of anticipation, Danny, what show are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about Shrek the Musical.
Yes!
Brennan really needed a win, guys.
Oh my god. Thank God. Oh, take it away, my friend.
Shrek the Musical, it's based off of the movie Shrek, the DreamWorks movie.
Ever heard of it?
Ever heard of it? With music by iconic Janine Tesori.
Yep.
Book and lyrics by David Lindsay Abaire. Obviously based off the 2001 DreamWorks animation film Shrek. It feels weird to give a description of Shrek.
Do it. Give us the plot.
Let me give you a plot. I didn't write down a plot, so this is the stream of conscious plot of Shrek.
I think that's the only way to do it.
So we follow our protagonist Shrek, who is an ogre living on a swamp. And basically, the dictator of the land, Lord Farquaad, has banished all fairy tale creatures to his swamp. And in order to get his home back, he must go on a quest for Lord Farquaad to rescue a fair maiden in a tower, who is Princess Fiona. So he teams up with a wisecracking donkey named Donkey, and he rescues Princess Fiona. And throughout the course of the quest, him and Princess Fiona do indeed fall in love with one another on their way back to the kingdom. And basically, he finds out that she turns into an ogre during sunset and a beautiful maiden during the day, and that is why she's been locked in a tower. And true love's kiss will break the curse, and she falls in love with him, so she decides to give up her human form to live life with him as two ogres on a swamp. Donkey shacks up with a dragon, and Lord Farquaad gets eaten by the dragon. And everyone lives happily ever after.
That was beautiful.
How do we feel?
I feel
like that was a nice, so concise, good. I think, streamlined.
I think you did great. Yeah.
And it's a wonderful story about, being yourself and having confidence in who you are,
acceptance,
diversity,
immigration.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me that I'm wrong?
It's about gay rights.
Gay rights, for sure.
For fucking sure.
Yeah.
Rights for twinks.
Yes. I guess you're right. Thank you. Direct eye contact was made.
Yeah. So, oh my God. Okay. So I actually did not know this until literally right this second. In real time, I just found out. So there was a reading in 2007 for this musical. And playing the part of Princess Fiona was Celia Keenan-Bolger.
Yeah.
Did you know? You knew that, didn't you?
I did.
You little Disney adult.
I read up. Listen. Do you know who played Shrek?
Stephen Kramer Glickman.
Do you recognize that name?
No, should I?
Did you ever watch Big Time Rush?
No.
Oh.
I had friends in high school.
Oh my God. And you know what? You're right, because that's when I was watching it.
Got him.
You really did. You really got me. Well, folks, to anyone out there who was a BTR fan, Stephen...
You have an acronym.
Stephen was indeed Gustavo Rock, the one and only, which is, I think, the only thing that anyone would know him for, if I'm being honest. But also would be phenomenal. Would be a absolutely phenomenal Shrek. So I can see why he was pulled in for that project.
And something fun is that Christopher Siebert was Lord Farquaad.
He sure was.
And so he obviously played it throughout the Broadway run and beyond, and he has been in the show since the original reading, which is fun.
Legend says he's still doing it to this day.
I mean, he's one of our other blue-collar Broadway baddies.
I wouldn't even consider him. I feel like he's more well-known, no?
I mean, I guess.
Listen, I guess if he is in that realm, I feel like he's towards the top.
He's towards the top. He's a well-known name, I think, in the Broadway community, but like anyone who's even a step outside doesn't know Christopher Siebert.
Heard.
You know? And then if you read his resume, like, he's been in, he was the Gaston.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He's been in everything.
He was a Spamalot guy. He did
Spamalot, the Into the Woods revival, obviously the Company revival.
The Prom.
The Prom. I mean, he was starring in the Prom. He was in the Prom.
He's everywhere.
So, yeah, he was the OG Lord Farquaad. And then they premiered at an out-of-town tryout at the Fifth Avenue Theater in Seattle in 2008. And this principal cast included Brian Darcy James as Shrek, Sutton Foster as Princess Fiona.
Princess Fiona. Get her.
Chris Siebert, obviously, as Lord Farquaad. We all know this already. Chester Gregory II as Donkey. John Tartaglia is Pinocchio. He is a very famous puppeteer.
He is a very famous.
Avenue Q. He has a children's program, Johnny and the Sprites.
He was the Lumiere.
He was a Lumiere. Was he I think he was the last Lumiere.
I think he might have been. He joined towards the end, for sure.
Yeah. And then they went through, obviously, a bunch of workshopping periods, and then they landed on Broadway in November of 2008. And this pretty much transferred the entire cast, except Daniel Breaker took over as Donkey. And I don't know what to say about it. It was a wonderful, wonderful production. I think that...
Did you see it on Broadway?
Yeah, I saw it on Broadway.
Okay.
Did you? That was your first Broadway show?
That was my first Broadway show.
They assembled one of the greatest casts.
Yeah.
Like, it feels weird to say this because I am like a certified Sutton Foster stan. I think she's wonderful. I think she does wonderful work in everything she ever does. You can't make me hate her if you tried, and for some reason people try to hate Sutton these days.
Yeah.
Not cool. This was like one of her best parts. Like
truly iconic. It's weird because it is a part that was in a movie, but also it just feels like it was made for her.
It really is like her exact bread and butter is Princess Fiona in Shrek the Musical.
Exactly right.
And she's phenomenal. I mean, Brian Darcy James is obviously also phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Because he was in, what was that show? 13 Reasons Why.
Oh my God, I didn't know he was in that.
Did you ever watch it?
I never watched it, no.
So he played, it's the show about the girl who committed suicide.
Yeah.
And he played her father in the show.
Of course.
And he wasn't like a huge role, but he was in it. And obviously it is such a dark show. It's a very like dark, very heavy show. And he's playing like the grieving dad. And I just remember, like, obviously I know who he is.
Oh, of course.
And I just remember seeing tweets when people were like, guys, I just found out that the guy who played Hannah Baker's dad is also Shrek. Like, non-theater people were bringing up pictures of him as Shrek.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, they know about you.
Yeah.
And this production is actually filmed professionally, and it is on Netflix.
It sure is.
And I highly recommend a watch.
Is it still on Netflix?
Did they take it off?
They might have taken it off, but it's definitely on Broadway HD.
It's easy to find.
Yes.
Easy to find. You can probably also find it on YouTube.
This is mandatory watching, folks. I gotta say.
I have to say, it is just so fun.
And for a pro shot too, it's very well done. Like they really have so many angles. They're giving you story. They're giving you it all.
It's just like one of those musicals that is pure. It's spectacle. It's heart. It's fun with like some of the greatest talents that we have.
Yeah.
You know, in musical theater.
For sure.
I think it's one of the better movie musical adaptations.
I agree.
And I think it's family friendly, it's kid friendly, but it also doesn't feel like it's necessarily a TYA show.
Yeah. I think it's very much, there's so much adult humor hidden in there for everyone. I mean, also, I guess that's also Shrek the movie, but like, it's really just, it's a show for everyone.
It's a wonderful show. There's a tour out right now.
It's a non-union
It's a non-union tour.
They didn't call me back. I'm not bitter. It's fine.
Sorry.
I'm just saying, listen, the jury's out. I'm phenomenal. Oh my God.
I believe. I mean, I haven't seen much of it. I've heard that it's a bit of a reconception.
So they had released pictures towards the beginning of the run that were not very well received, and then they seemed to rework it a little bit. I think it is still like a different kind of take for sure.
Yeah,
but
if I've heard correctly, the take is that, well, probably the producers are trying to save money, but the artistic reason that they're giving is that it is actors playing these parts.
Yeah, it is they're
as
like telling
opposed to
the story.
like in the original conception of like the Broadway musical, it's just Shrek is an ogre.
Yeah.
On a swamp. And in this retelling, it's like, oh, this actor is telling the story of Shrek.
Yeah.
So he's wearing like Shrek ears and nothing else of the costume. So it's I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't really have an opinion.
They've updated it. He is green. He is...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because I know the original costumes were met with a certain amount of backlash.
Very much so.
So I think they took public consideration.
They did. They sure did.
Have you seen a couple of things, especially with the original broadcast? Have you seen the Tony Award performance for Shrek?
I have to have. It's not coming to my brain, but I'm sure I have.
It is iconic because they were having a lot of mic issues. And they sang, you know what I'm talking about?
No, continue.
Oh my God. They sang
for the people, continue.
They sang like the Duloc number, which is an ensemble number featuring Chris Sieber as Lord Farquaad. Also interesting, they did not feature Sutton or Brian Darcy James. I don't know why.
They were featured in a different way.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. That's later. But the second that the number starts, one ensemble member's mic is way up. Like, so you're gonna watch it after this podcast,
of course,
and you're gonna laugh your ass off because throughout the whole number, they're just trying to figure out the levels of one random ensemble member's mic.
Oh my God!
And it's like, this is the Tony Awards.
Yeah.
Didn't you rehearse this before? And it's hysterical. And they're doing like a group tap number. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so good. And, you know, Chris Sieber's living his best life.
Of course.
Because he does the whole show on his knees.
He sure does. Which
probably
also
destroys your knees.
Literally couldn't be me.
Cannot imagine what that did to him 8 times a week on knee pads.
I had to wear a knee brace in marching band because my knees are just that bad.
You have creaky bones.
I do have creaky bones. I don't have a lot of cartilage in those babies. What can I tell you?
It's alarming.
I'm not a Farquaad, folks. That's okay.
Okay, and then what's more important from this Tony Award is that
thank God,
beloved Dame Angela Lansbury was being honored that year.
Yep,
I think she was winning, and I think she was winning a Tony, right? She was winning her Tony for Best Actress. I think in a play that year. And so it's like, they're like, and the best actress is Angela Lansbury. Everyone, it's a moment because Angela Lansbury is such a legend. Camera pans to Angela fucking Lansbury. And who do you see sitting behind her,
directly
politely clapping, but Brian Darcy James and Sutton Foster both in costume as Shrek and Fiona. Like, it is one of my favorite Tony moments.
That's culture right there.
That is literal culture. That poor man in full Shrek, green head to fucking toe, had to sit behind Angela Lansbury while she received the honor. I think it was her 6th Tony Award. I think she made history that night.
And you know what? They all so did they.
You know, a couple of years ago, my friend DM'd Brian Darcy James asking about that. She was like, "Hey, I have to let you know, this is my favorite moment from any Tony Awards telecast. And I just want to know the background. Like, why were you in costume? Why were you sitting in the audience?"
Oh my God.
And he didn't, I don't think it was ever seen.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Oh.
But I do,
Brian,
I do
get
wonder,
on this pod.
they don't sit in the audience in their costumes. Why were they like, you know what? Yeah.
Was Sutton also in the category?
No. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
It was there.
They were like,
that
not
reason.
only are you going to sit in the audience in costume, but you're going to be behind a nominee. And furthermore, the nominee you're going to be behind is Dame Angela Lansbury.
You know what maybe it was? Maybe it takes Brian too long to get out of Shrek, so he wouldn't be there for the rest of the awards that he needed to be there for.
because he was nominated for Best Actor. But
And then in solidarity,
I don't
they
care.
made Sutton do it.
In solidarity, yeah, that's how that works. Sutton Foster didn't have a choice.
No, I think she probably chose. Oh, but if anything, thank God.
Thank God for that.
Everyone,
Thank God for that moment.
go look that up.
It's an important moment in Tony history.
Honestly, I should make that my screensaver.
Just the visual of Angela Lansbury.
Yeah.
And behind her, and he's just politely clapping.
Truly. They were very, listen,
There's
were
nothing
great.
else to be done.
No.
You know?
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful show. Beautiful everything. Listen, also, the second Janine Tesori is on board, like, it is going to be gold one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
Also, she was in it from freaking 2001. They were working this thing.
Yeah.
But they chose right to have her because she did not hold back, and it didn't need to be as good as it is.
Janine Tesori and Sutton Foster have a very long-standing collaboration. She wrote Thoroughly Modern Millie, obviously. She wrote Violet, which Sutton Foster wasn't in the original Violet, but she was in the big Broadway revival of Violet. She wrote Shrek. She wrote Fun Home, which Sutton Foster wasn't in, but she could have been.
Yeah.
Most recently, she did Kimberly Akimbo.
Yep.
I love Janine Tesori. I don't know
sure
about
do.
you.
No, I listen.
Caroline or Change. She's written just
She's
like
brilliant.
some of the greatest scores. She's
truly
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's just, I think it works because like it could so easily just be like a big joke. It'd be really bad. But they got some of the greatest talents who took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that perfect combination of, being self-aware about what it is, but also like not making fun of it and just like living in it.
Exactly.
And it's like, like this could easily have just been a meme. This could easily have been like a huge, like, oh my God, Shrek the Musical. But they were like, no, we're going to get Janine Tesori.
Truly.
Like legend Janine Tesori. Yeah. And then we're going to get Brian Darcy James and Sutton Foster, two of like the biggest talents in the musical theater canon. And we're all going to do it full out, no marking.
And it's so much fun. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
God.
It's a blast. It's so fun. I mean, if you need, look, I love to run on the treadmill to these fucking Broadway things.
Yep.
Freak Flag, greatest song.
The anthem. The anthem, truly.
It's an anthem. It's an anthem.
It is our anthem.
They were just like, and you know what I also love? Like, it's not really an ensemble show. There's a big ensemble.
Yeah.
But a lot of the show really is like the leads.
Truly.
And I feel like a huge part that we think about and that all like the tenors with big falsettos want to play is Pinocchio.
How dare you?
I'm one of them, don't worry. He's a tiny part. He's in like 2 numbers.
Princess track. And like also in terms of what the rights are out right now, like it is truly just Pinocchio. Because, on Broadway, he was Pinocchio. He was The Magic Mirror, which also, how freaking cool. Motion capture on Broadway actively happening every show.
John Tartaglia is always going to give us something.
Yeah, truly.
He is really talented. He's a brilliant puppeteer.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wrote Avenue Q, but he was like a huge part of the creation of Avenue Q. Yeah. He obviously played the leads of Avenue Q. Like, he's really smart. He's really good at his stagecraft.
Truly.
And I think he contributed a lot to this show and like what like the cool elements of the show.
In terms of the ensemble, like it's not a heavy ensemble show, but they all do kind of get a moment, which is really nice. Like, I feel like Story of My Life and Freak Flag, like,
I think Freak Flag is the best number in the whole show.
Yeah.
It's another one where it's just like unbottled joy.
Yeah.
Joy, fun, gay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of these things, all of these good things cooking in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great soundtrack.
For sure.
It's a really good soundtrack.
Speaking of which, are we putting songs in our book? I have songs in my book, so I'm going to say yes. This is one of those ones where, like,
I feel like... no, I don't want to do it.
Okay.
I don't want to say it.
It was going to be a dig at something about me.
I think it was going to be a dig at both of us.
Okay, great.
Like, every time we say the same thing, where we're like, put it in your book, but just know that people sing it, but if you're right for it and you can really bring the house down, put it in your book anyway.
I feel
It's
like
the same advice. Listen to any episode. Same advice I would give last.
yeah. Janine Tesori did a really good job of making the songs both in the context, but also very easy to use out of context. I think it is a very versatile score. I think you can show off a lot of different things with it.
I also think if you like, I know I've thought about this as someone with a high falsetto. Like if you're good to audition for Pinocchio, like just sing the side.
Yeah, just sing the side.
Because it's like you're not really going to show that voice in anything else, and you need to show that voice.
That's exactly right.
Just my opinion.
Anywho, yeah, I mean, also just in general, like the amount of like character acting that is allowed to be done in the show is really fun as well.
It's a show for the characters, character actors, even the leads. They're all characters. They're all characters. Mm-hmm. I feel like we talked about a show recently. I feel like we were saying the same thing. We're like, this is for the characters. You're in town for the characters. Similar. I mean, I think I made the comparison at that episode. Similar vibe.
Yeah.
For our character girlies who are, the clowns.
For character actors, by character actors. Other way around. By character actors, for character actors.
I'll drink to that.
Great.
Yeah. And obviously in classic Sutton form, get your tap shoes out, girls.
Oh my God. Yep.
Get your tap shoes out.
This is really funny. I gotta say this. I'm so sorry. I was in a community theater production of the show.
Of Shrek?
Of Shrek, my sophomore year of college. Mm-hmm. And it was a great show. I will say it was a very great production, a lot of cool elements and good production value. But one of the things that happened was our Fiona was not a tapper, so she did not participate in the number, which is fine. A lot of places do that. She kind of just rallies the troops. But for some reason, they still gave her the tearaway skirt. So she would tear off her skirt going into the number, but then she would just go to the back of the stage and not tap, which I'm fine with the not tapping, but I was like, why did we do that?
We made her a showgirl and then she didn't sit.
So funny. It was so funny.
That's iconic.
Yeah, really.
Good for her. Show off the leg. Show off a leg.
Truly, truly, truly.
And then walk back at center stage when the number's over.
Absolutely. Take your spot. Take your moment.
That's the thing about Sutton. You gotta tap if you're gonna play one of her parts.
Yeah.
I remember when Stephanie J. Block took over as Reno Sweeney in Anything Goes. She surprised everyone because she came out and did all of the tapping.
Yep.
And everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Stephanie J. Block. You're not known as a tapper. You're known as like an actress singer. Like where?" And she was like, "Yeah, I can tap. It's not my greatest strength in the world." And she was like, "But Sutton set the show. Sutton tapped. And if I originated Reno, I would have sang my little number and walked to the back, and all these hot sailors would tap around me.
Yeah. But
Sutton set the show, and so if I wanted to play the part after her on Broadway in the production that she originated, I had to get it together and tap." And
Fiona is a hard role too. Fiona was
very physical.
It's a very physical role. It's vocally demanding.
Yeah.
Also just like the comedy prowess that you need to have for that role. It's different. It's just it really is different. Like you can be a comedic actress, amazing, but like this involves such a level of bashfully silly and self-aware that like it is one of those standouts, where I'm like, you need a very specific kind of person to do it.
And to be honest, I think we're seeing Sutton right now in Once Upon a Mattress do a similar character.
Heard.
I saw it at City Center, and if you want to see Sutton do her bread and butter, go.
Amazing.
Go see it. We're in a Sutton renaissance, I feel like she was on Broadway for like 10, 15 years straight, and then she took time off and went and did television and made all her money, Get Your Bad Girl, got married, had a kid, and then, she came back with Music Man, bit of a flop, did Sweeney Todd, which I personally didn't see her in, but from the bootlegs, I think it was a wonderful stretch for her.
That is a good role for her, for sure.
Oh, yeah, I think...
You're screaming.
Am I? Sorry. I'm getting a little passionate. Do you want to know my honest opinion about it? Because there was discourse. You remember all the discourse when she joined Sweeney Todd?
Yeah, of course.
I think that the blankification of the musical theater singer, where we're just like become obsessed with these high mixed belty girlies who like can sing effortlessly to like a G sharp and a Z sharp, and that's great, and that's a wonderful, wonderful skill. But that's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And I think that especially in a Sondheim, like Sondheim does not care about you sounding pretty. Sondheim is an actor's composer.
Yeah.
And so, like, yeah, Sutton Foster singing "Worst Spies of London" isn't the most isn't the most appealing sound wise. But if you're watching her performance, she's like,
it's gonna be amazing.
She's a character actress,
of course.
She's like a comedian, and I think people's brains were just fried, and they're like, oh my god, it sounds. I'm like, yeah, because she's not trying to sound beautiful.
Yeah,
she's playing like a haggard down innkeeper cutting people into pies.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And you know what? I will also say, like, that performance by Annalee Ashford was probably one of the best performances I've ever seen on a stage in my life. But if Sutton had been announced as the original Mrs. Lovett with Josh Groban, I don't think there would have been any complaints.
Well, I think that. So I think Mrs. Lovett was a stretch for her, but a really good stretch.
Sure.
Where, like, I never would have been like, oh, Sutton should play Miss Lovett. But when she was announced, I was like, oh, that's good casting.
Yeah.
But I think if she had never done, I think Music Man really damaged her PR. I think if she had never done Music Man, she would have had a much better reception in Sweeney Todd.
For sure.
But I think coming off of a role, like, she was just miscast. She was miscast for some reason. They were like, we're going to take this classic soprano one part and just, like, take it down the octave for this person who isn't necessarily correct for this, and people were just
not
like,
her fault.
People had opinions about it, whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that really, like, kind of hurt her, especially with the people, with the young theater kids.
Yeah.
Because, like, we know her as, like, Millie and Fiona and Jo March, and, like, the things that she built her entire career off of, like, that's how we grew up with her. Like, there are theater kids who grew up with her as Marion.
Yeah.
And then I think when she was announced as Mrs. Lovett, they're like, oh my god, here she goes again with, like, another part, like, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, like, yeah, like, I mean, I didn't see Music Man, so I don't really have an opinion on if she was good or bad in it, but I'm like, okay, in, like, her 20-year Broadway career, she's allowed to be in one stinker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's allowed to, like, take a role that maybe she should have passed on one time.
It was a juicy paycheck. I'm sure if anyone had seen that number offered to they would have done.
You know what? If I was offered Marion to star opposite Hugh Jackman, I'd be like, yeah, let's take the keys down, please.
Let's consider the Hugh Jackman of it all.
I'm like, yeah, girl. Everyone's like, she should have said no. I'm like, I wouldn't have said no.
Literally, I don't know the show at all. You want to put me opposite Hugh Jackman? Sign me up.
If they're like, hey, do you want to play Marion the librarian? I'd be like, yes.
I'm sorry, who? But yeah.
Man, I don't know why I just got on my little soapbox for Sutton Foster. I just love her so much.
I mean, #protect Sutton. She's a wonderful performer. She is so...
I just think it's fascinating because I feel like 5 to 10 years ago, she was that Broadway girl who was just, like, universally beloved.
Yeah.
And, like, nobody had a single bad thing to say about her. And now, like, public opinion is just very interesting about her. Yeah. And I think it all stems from the Music Man.
I agree.
But I think she's wonderful. And I'm glad that she is doing Once Upon a Mattress because I think she's wonderful in that too.
For sure. You know what else she was wonderful in?
Shrek the Musical.
Shrek the Musical. So good.
Yeah. And Brian Darcy James. And you know what? Brian Forwent originating next to normal to go play Shrek in Shrek the Musical.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, Brian Darcy.
And he still got to do Next to Normal on Broadway. He did. I think in later.
I think he did the workshops Next to Normal, jumped into Shrek.
Yeah.
Did that whole thing, and then jumped back into Next to Normal.
Yeah.
On Broadway.
And someone else took over Shrek for a long time too. So.
And that's his track though. He got
to do everything.
At the Public, did Hamilton, jumped ship to go do something rotten.
Yeah.
Got his Tony nom and his flowers for that wonderful show.
Of course.
Jumped ship. When did Hamilton?
Yeah.
He's a chameleon, that one.
He sure is.
And I feel like him and Danny Burstein are kind of cut from a similar cloth. But I was really gunning for him playing Herbie in the Gypsy Revival.
I'm sorry.
I think Danny Burstein is objectively brilliant and perfect for the show.
Great.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they're friends.
Probably.
Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
and his business.
Yeah.
And you know what, Sutton? You're welcome.
Oh my
I
God.
defended you today.
Oh my God. Listen,
No one say a mean thing about my Sutton.
Sutton, you are safe here. This is a safe space. You are welcome here anytime.
Have you ever seen her TV show?
No.
She has 2.
Okay.
Where do you think she was been for the past 10 years?
I'm aware that she did them.
So she had a TV show called Bunheads.
Mm-hmm.
That one was like a 1 season,
Yep.
one and done. But then she was in like a 7-year TV show called Younger, starring opposite Hilary Duff.
Oh my God.
I don't know why I pointed to you as if like your friend Hilary.
Yeah.
I'm
not supposed to say that.
Disney adult. Yeah, so her and Hilary Duff like were co-stars on a TV show Younger for many, many years.
Love that.
And then that show ended and she was like, okay, time to come back to Broadway.
Love that.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that point in my life.
Yeah, me too.
Oh boy. Okay, folks. Anywho, I could talk about this show for hours. We all know it is lovely. However, maybe you're done. Maybe you want to hear us talk about something else. And if that's the case, you can absolutely let us know by finding us over on Patreon. That is patreon.com/BA to Broadway. Of course, our principal tier Patreon members get to choose the shows we talk about. So if you're yearning to hear us talk about something, let us know over on Patreon and we will do it for you. You'll get a special little shout out. It'll be wonderful. As always, you can find us on most social media at BA to Broadway. You can find me at Brennan Stefanik.
You can find me at Sutton Foster. Go to her followers at DSauls. I will be the one feverishly defending her honor.
You're kicking this dead horse with that bit. You really are. We'll work on it. We'll workshop some other stuff.
I don't know. Like, you tag us in every post. Do we need to say our Instagrams out loud?
And that's so valid. Some people are only listening to the podcast
you
on their
come
podcast
for me,
app.
I fight back tenfold.
Listen, not everyone's on the Instagram.
Listen.
So many of... I'm so
Everyone's
sorry,
on
all
the
you,
Instagram.
all you non-Instagram users. First of all,
come on.
If you're an actor, you're going to need an Instagram. So let's get on that. Go listen to our social
I don't think there's anyone who listens to this podcast that is not on Instagram.
Let's take a poll. Folks, if you listen to this and are not on Instagram...
DM us on Instagram.
Yeah,
at
create an Instagram and
Stefanik.
send us a DM.
Yeah.
Let us know. I'm curious for the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen to this and you are on Instagram, also message us for the sake of the poll.
And if you are on Instagram, follow Sutton Foster.
Yes.
And give her some love tonight.
Yes. And everybody go to YouTube and look up that Tony Awards clip.
Yes, specifically
Angela Lansbury.
You can't search Shrek. You have to search Angela Lansbury winning at the 2009 Tony Awards.
I'm sure you could search Angela Lansbury Shrek and it would probably come up.
Probably.
But that is mandatory viewing.
Do you think she knows about that or knew?
I hope.
I don't know.
I don't think she would.
I totally see a world where she's just like, what?
Yeah. Well, may she rest in peace.
We love you, Angela.
We love you,
Dame Angela Lansbury.
This one's for Angela. Folks, as always, we will see you next week. And until then, bye. From BA to Broadway is created, produced, and edited by Brennan Stefanik, music by Dylan Kaufman, and cover art by Jordan Vongsithi.